Welcome back to another episode of Embracing Magic with me, Steph, and my lovely co-hosts, Lizzie and Tony. Today's episode is all about elemental magic. So we're going to be diving into all of the different elements and how we work with them and how they are symbolic for us as living energies that are not only external of us, but also within us. So we'll be talking about, obviously, earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. And we're going to start with earth. And we've also chosen today to discuss our own elements via our sun signs. And so Lizzie's going to kick us off with earth, as you are an earth sign.
I am a Taurus. Yes, so earth elemental practice. So I would say if you're connecting with the earth, it's very much a grounding part of elemental magic, and also I would say protection and also abundance. And the idea of using earth magic is sort of weaving or feeding your intentions into the earth, into the soil, into plant magic, as we have spoken before about tree magic. However that looks and feels to you as you're working with earth magic. And I, as I've said many times, I'm very drawn to particularly the element of earth. It's very much part of my, I call spiritual practice every single morning, without fail. I'm up and I walk in my local woodlands, and I'm becoming more and more confident with using different tools, but also just experimenting a lot more with it. I do have some notes because my brain is small. So one of the first things that I do now, and I think it's really important, we've touched on it before, but because of looking into more my sort of Maori lineage, that I always now say a little, it's called a karakia in Maori, but it's a prayer, and it is just basically asking the forest if I can come in, if I'm allowed to walk through you, and learn any magic, or share if you have any wisdom to share with me, that I'm here to receive. Which I just find, and there's these two trees as you come in to, and they go off in a V, and I just feel like they're the guardians of the woodland.
Where you live?
Yeah. So as you come in, there are two trees in a V, and they just feel like the guardians of the woodland. And I just feel that I have to sort of say a karakia to these trees as I come in. They sort of feel like a liminal crossing into the woodland, which feels really special.
It's beautiful.
But then a lot of witches, I'm sure, at their altar space will have things like sort of collections from either the woods, like stones or sand, and use it on their altar space. I was reading the other day about how someone picks up their stones on their walks, and then it's all in a circle around their altar, which I really loved. Like, it's a real earth-based altar. So it's protecting that space with the beautiful stones. And also a lot of, I think, earth-based witches would use, or using the earth element, you'd have crystals like obsidian, you would have like red jasper, so really grounding crystals as well to work with.
I'd probably say that crystals in general are kind of
Yeah.
earth, aren't they? Because they all
come
from the earth.
Yeah, so...
I'd say like moss agate is
Oh yeah, moss agate. Yeah, that's a good one.
One of my faves.
Yeah, I love moss agate.
Or like a garden quartz.
My
yeah,
engagement ring is moss agate.
it's so
Beautiful.
It's a pretty one. So one of the things that a lot of earth, the element of earth is, if you're, I'm not really a gardener as such, so I'm not really out in my garden much, but I'm out in the woods. But I know that a lot of people would use their garden as their altar, or set up an earth altar in their garden to use. And again, that you can set that up to however that looks and feels to you in your garden. It could be small, it could be big, it could be the entire garden is your altar to work with, which I think is really beautiful. The other thing that I mentioned this before, but I really like it. I think it is like a kind of, it's similar to like bone divination. So where you would collect bones on your walk, I collect stones on my walk. And it's, I think it's an old a Celtic tradition, but I will sit and I will lean up against my favourite tree and I will throw the stones out and see where they land. And this is a sort of, yeah, it is a kind of stone divination. And the idea is that you get messages from the images that land on the ground. And the other one you can do if you...
Have you had any interesting messages from the stones?
Yeah, so... yeah, it's so interesting.
If you want to share.
Yeah, no, I had a really amazing one, which was that at some point I'm going to go back to New Zealand and I'm going to go to Rotorua in New Zealand, which is sort of the hubbub of the Maori culture. And I'm going to basically, just this vision of that I'm going to have an elder or a tutor who's going to teach me. And also I've just had this vision that I've downloaded an app to learn Maori.
Oh, wow.
So I just had this real calling of like, you need to learn the language and you need to go back to New Zealand and you need to have an elder or a tutor and someone to really engage you in it. And so, yeah, that like deep calling of being a guardianship of land in that space really is really quite powerful. And also I have a lot of messages there because I think the woodland that I'm in has kind of big, it's on a ley line. So I think it has big dragon energy. So I feel like there's the presence of a dragon there. So I have quite big energy spells there. But again, you could also use, if you were in your local woodland or in your garden, you can use sand. It's called sand divination. You can pick up like a handful of sand and you need a flat surface and you can throw the sand out and you can look at what any shapes appear or the way it lands. So there's all these beautiful earth-based rituals and tools you can use, which are amazing. And then my favourite one, which we spoke about one of her books earlier, Danu Forrest, I think she was called. She's talked about a specific tree divination, which is called Ogham tree reading.
Ogham is the original language.
The original language. And
For the lines.
yes, that's right, exactly. So she's saying you can do Ogham tree divination or tree reading. And basically every single tree has, a beautiful characteristic and a soul, which I just think is so amazing. So oak is stability and grounding. Willow is emotion and magic. Yew is death and rebirth and all this sort of thing. So I've been really thinking about that and using that on my walks. So that if you're somebody who really connects to the earth and is such a lover of trees, this Ogham tree divination is something that you can really embrace and tap into. And it's all about sitting quietly with trees and really listening to them and really asking questions, and it's observing everything around you in that space. So the wind, the rustling of the leaves, the animals, and really honing in on that tree and feeling the energy, which I just think is so beautiful. And that's a really ancient form of kind of elemental earth magic, which is really beautiful. That goes back years apparently. So that's another really beautiful way.
I think just learning about the different trees, the different plants, anything that grows within your the natural space around you is a really important part of an earth magic based practice. And knowing about all of these, because so many of the, obviously we've spoken about wild foraging and wild plants before, but they have so many amazing medicinal properties for us. And we nurture the land and the land nurtures us. That was a bit of a mouthful. We nurture the land and the land nurtures us.
Reciprocity.
Yes, exactly.
We're just going to take a short break in this episode to talk to you about our sponsor, Aura app. Every night before bed, I like to do a special unwinding ritual where I sit at my altar space, journal and pull cards for myself to try and relax and unwind before bed. And I've created a special playlist on Aura app that guides me through this. So I go into my Aura app, press play on my playlist and begin journaling. Even if I've had a really overwhelming day, I can come here, press play, and within minutes, I feel my whole energy shift. It's like a reset for my nervous system. Sometimes I think we all believe that mindfulness or meditation has to be a big formal thing, but honestly, even just 5 minutes with aura at my altar space helps me to sleep better, feel more balanced, and not carry all that noise into the next day. If you're looking for something to help you to slow down, feel more grounded, and make space for peace, Aura is offering a free 7-day trial plus 25% off their membership. And the first 500 people to use our link will get exclusive access to my playlist too, so you can try the exact tracks I use every night. So the playlist I've created is full of sound healing meditations using koshi chimes and the flute and instruments like that. But I've also chosen a lot of tracks that use nature-based sounds, particularly the sound of the ocean, which I absolutely love and really helps me to de-stress after a long day of working. So if you're even a little curious, go and grab the free trial. The link's in the description and pinned comment, and I think you're all going to really love it.
So, yeah, I think it's really amazing to be able to work with the earth in that way, to actually understand everything that's growing around us.
When I think about earth magic, I think about soil. I know like you're talking about trees, but I think about like the ecosystem that is happening in the ground, like the bugs and the composting and the turning, you know, the cycle of plants growing and dying and becoming the ground. And and so like I think just getting on your knees and burying your hands in the soil and grounding that way is...
Well, we know that Lizzie loves to do that.
You love a mud pie.
I love a mud pie. But I would, you know, as well, it's tricky, but taking your shoes off.
Grounding,
Grounding.
Absolutely.
Getting in there, grounding in the soil, as you say, and like holding it and feeling it. And the other thing that we've, again, I think it's, if you're really wanting to delve into like the land, it's really good to start learning about the history of the land, of the earth, of the woodland. And actually around here, there's amazing stories about how there was this community called Diggers that were in St George's, where we live, near where we are. And basically they lived off the land. So there's this rich history about that. And so again, it's that thing of, if you're working with earth, to really learn about the history of the earth and working with it and the magic that was there before, like from ancestors and people that lived there before. So it's all those elements of earth magic that are really important. And there's masses you can do with it. But I would say if you're just beginning, just exactly like we're talking about, going for a walk, finding your favorite tree, digging your hands in the soil, collecting stones, using that on your altar. It's just like a beautiful...
Yeah, collecting soil as well.
Yeah, collecting soil.
What would you say to someone that was interested in earth magic, but perhaps lived in a bit of like a concrete city,
city.
with no trees and no green spaces?
Yeah.
What would you suggest to them for connecting to the element of earth?
That's a really good question. I think what I would say, if you are someone who's in a concrete city, in a flat, and you really want to connect to earth, I would say get yourself maybe 1 or 2 plants and put them on your altar, and so really, I would say really get to know them, but also like choose the plants that really call to you, whatever that might be. It could be herbs. It could be a basil. If you want to incorporate magic into, I don't know, your cooking or something, you could get a basil plant and just really connect with it and look after it and love it and nurture it and use it in all the various ways that you want to. Or just get a beautiful, it could be a cactus, whatever you're drawn to, but just really develop that relationship with it and really get to know it, because they sort of become, you sort of get to know them almost as people. So I would say, get yourself some beautiful plants.
You could also use visualization techniques and
Yeah.
do grounding meditations and visualize. Often in the coven we'll visualize roots extending from us and reaching into the earth.
That's
to
beautiful.
feel that connection that we all have with the earth.
Tea might be a good one as well, because herbalism's obviously very earthy, and getting to know the different plants in really nice tea, and then being able to sit with a proper herbal brew might
It's
feel
like water and earth, isn't it?
Yeah, that's lovely.
yeah, definitely
Beautiful tea.
I'm just thinking we like lots of people living in cities that don't have a lot of green spaces, and
Yeah.
like even in London there's so few green spaces and lots of areas. But then I guess there's often community projects as well. Like you can get involved in community projects where you're building plant beds out of like pallets and stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. And I know that I follow someone on Instagram. He's a forager. I've forgotten his name. I'll try and find it. But I follow him. He lives in the centre of London. He's really passionate about foraging. And he leads...
Is it Urban Forager?
Possibly. Is a guy with like curly red hair.
Oh, maybe not.
Oh, I can't remember. I've forgotten his name. But he lives in the centre of London. And he goes around different London parks and different, like some really small parks and teaches people about the land and foraging and what's there. And I just think that's amazing that if you are really in a concrete jungle, to find somebody who understands the city, but then also the
Must be
hidden
like
gems.
like city foraging.
Yeah, city foraging.
Because you're still probably going to get a lot of those wild plants like nettles and three-cornered leek and like the kind of more invasive stuff.
Yeah. And
Maybe.
I think getting to know those plants are really important. The ones that everyone's like, ugh, it smells horrible. Whilst I'm like, I can smell the onion leek. I can smell it. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's a horrible weed.
Like sticky weed as
Sticky
well,
weed.
like cleavers, yeah.
Yeah. I think they're so important.
Stinky Bob.
What did you say?
I think it's cool. His nickname is Stinky Bob.
Stinky Bob?
Or something like that. Herb Robert.
Herb Robert?
Yeah.
You're just making this up now.
I'm not.
Herb Phillip. Old Frankie Wiener.
It's probably in your garden.
I love it, Herb
Yeah,
Robert.
but some people feel that it smells really bad.
Oh.
I've never really got that from it.
I've
but,
never smelled a Herb Robert.
Yeah, apparently it repels insects as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Must be really stinky.
He's
Stinky
Mr. Robert's
Bob.
very stinky.
I think that was the nickname for it anyway. Could have been making that up, but
But I would say as well, like, it's all those things of like, if you spot, I know everyone says, oh, they're awful, but they're so amazing for the bees, is dandelions. Even if you see like in your concrete jungle, a dandelion growing here, or, and nettles poking out of a fence or a wall, it's paying homage to those little pockets of greenery, I think are really...
yeah, noticing. I think.
Paying attention to it. Earth, goodbye. Those would be my go-to if you were exploring it.
I think also drumming is quite an earth-based practice, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because the earth beat is
And
one of our
meditation.
faves.
I have to throw that in.
My favourite beat. The only beat I know.
It's the only beat I know. Do you have anything to add on Earth? We missed anything?
No, I mean, I think that earth feels like one of the most powerful elements to me. I love it. I love just connecting in with the ground and the trees, and it's beautiful. I think your advice on, getting a plant is a really good shout.
Yeah.
Because, so you can, if you get a plant like an aloe vera as well, they just have millions of babies.
Yeah,
You're
all the
just surrounded. You're just like in an aloe vera forest, which is what has happened to me. I can't grow anything but aloe veras. My cat keeps biting them and then go.
Oh,
We have loads of snake plants in our house.
Yeah,
do
you
you
do.
have lots of Bob Robert? No, what was it called?
Bob Robert.
Herb Robert.
Bob Robert. Bob
Stinky
Robert.
Bob.
Stinky Bob.
There is a lot of that growing in the garden. And there's a lot of nettles around us and lots of elderflower.
Yeah. And Creeping Charlie, that little herb, Creeping Charlie.
You guys are making these up now.
He also has Sticky Willy.
Sticky Willy.
Um,
Anyone for any more?
I think there's even some wild honeysuckle. somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love the smell of honeysuckle.
But I think it's really important to get to know those,
so important.
Those, what people would say were weeds, which are actually incredible plants. And I get so excited. Like the other day I went past and I went, oh, and I took a photo just of sort of green grass, and someone who probably went past me was like, what is she doing? But I was like, soon this will be full of three-cornered leak. So I was like, yes.
Favourite time of the year.
Yeah, I love
wild garlic
leek.
season.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was just thinking, like on the sort of foraging front, also, I know we've said it loads of times before, but understanding that relationship with plants, that you don't over harvest so that it can keep flourishing and come back every year. Because I think a lot about what if like our food sources dried up? Would any of us actually have the knowledge to know how to feed ourselves from the land, but also know how to keep it regenerating itself?
Yeah, because uprooting plants is a huge no-no.
Yeah.
Um,
And sort of taking too much, not being respectful of like other people's needs or even the plant's needs. So yeah, I think that's important in terms of like getting to know plants and
well, yeah, I think if you're going
eating
to
them.
embark on an earth magic-based practice, the most important thing is the respect for the earth and honouring the earth rather than, taking too much from it. It's, you're looking after it, you're nurturing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we love the earth.
We like it.
Do you want to do fire?
So it probably comes as no surprise to you that I am a fire sign. I'm like the epitome of fire, really. My sun sign's in Leo and my moon sign is in Aries, which is both fire. And my whole chart is, well, basically all of my houses are in Leo as well. So I am a big ball of flaming rage, essentially. But, with fire comes good and bad. It represents destruction. It represents transformation, passion, discipline. Well, not so much discipline for me, but the shedding of old skins and the regeneration, really. I think fire signs are, fire sort of correspondences are summer. It represents the south as well in the elements. It represents noon. And corresponding crystals will be stuff like garnets and carnelians and sunstones, probably citrine. And herbs will usually be ones that cause a little bit of fire in your mouth, like chili or cinnamon, clove, that kind of stuff, spicy stuff. But, I would imagine with fire signs, lots of candle magic, lots of releasing spells in terms of burning rituals. Steph leads a full moon burning ceremony every month where we write. And actually, I've been really getting into this in my personal practice.
It's actually changed now. It's not a burning ritual every month because basically in the coven this year, it's all about the elements. So we're working with each element every month.
You had to go and show me up, didn't you? Didn't do this to Lizzie, did you?
So it's not a burning ritual every month anymore. But yes, last year it was every month.
Who's telling this story? You'll get your turn in a minute.
You can see the fire sign coming up right now.
Oh God, it's so awkward. Oh wow, this is very exposing. I've been doing like a lot of journaling recently, and I have hated journaling. I just find it really difficult to sit with my thoughts. There's too much stuff going on in my head. Lot of rage. But I have been finding it really helpful to write letters to people, like really unfiltered letters, like really raw, unfiltered letters about my feelings, and then releasing them, to the flames. So, you could use a candle and like a fireproof bowl, or if you've got like a little cauldron that you can use, just like really allowing all of those big feelings to spill out in a very sort of like unstructured, unfiltered is the only word I can think of, way. And then going, I'm not sending this to anyone. I'm going to just let it burn.
Let it burn.
Also, candle magic, very, very powerful one, and one that I like a lot and holds a lot of meaning for me is it's cord cutting, which we did in the coven recently because we were in the element of fire. And if you don't know what that is, that's you have 2 candles. One represents yourself. One could represent a person or a habit or a thing that you're trying to detach from. And you connect a piece of thread or string between the base of the wicks, and you do some ceremony work, and then you set light to both candles, and you observe the way in which the attachment breaks. There might be some kind of like words that you want to use, I release you, or I'm free of this feeling now. I think cord cutting is really powerful, especially in the sense of detaching yourself from abusive relationships or abusive habits, addiction, stuff like that. So it's a really amazing practice. But also solar worship, which you'll know a lot about, sun worshipping. In the same way that we worship the moon through its phases, the sun also has phases. And, sun energy is all about vitality, literally energy, about abundance and creativity and flow and movement. So that could be something that you use in sun worship, like collecting sun water as well. And I would say anything that's really sort of to do with passion and creativity. So making things with your hands, creating art, painting, drawing, making music, that all feels very fire energy to me. And equally, I think protection magic that comes from strength, because fire is very resilient. It's resilient, it's fierce, it's unapologetic. So I think protection magic is all about like taking that power back and, creating that sacred space of protection, of complete resilience. Fire is very purifying as well. It's another way to cleanse. You can use a candle, or you can use a match or whatever to cleanse a space if you want to, or cleanse yourself, hopefully without burning yourself. I guess some of the challenges, though, of a fire sign is that it's unpredictable. So you have to, when working with fire, you have to be very careful about the way in which you use it. For instance, I'm going to give you the little heads up on some content that I'm releasing tomorrow. But, I live in Hastings on the West Hill, right next to the West Hill, which is where the Battle of Hastings happened. So a lot of pain and bloodshed and stuff like that. And so I decided to go and do some land healing there a couple of days ago on Friday. And I took up I'm big into smoke cleansing. So I took up my burner, and I took up some charcoal and my ancestral smoke that we made at the Samhain ritual, and I did some connecting with the ground and trying to help it heal. And even at the end of that, because those charcoals, they burn for a long time, and I thought to myself, I've now got to take this home, and I'm not 100% that the charcoal's completely finished. So I was just like, I can't release this anywhere, because the whole area on the West Hill is full of like thicket, and it's very it's full of a lot of dry plants. And I was like, if I dump this somewhere, that's like fire city, because it's also very windy on the West Hill, so it could be a real problem. So luckily I'd brought like one of those, like a top to go over it. But so when you're working with fire, even in the sense of using like charcoal and like smoke cleansing, you've got to be really careful, I think. Because it's just it's really powerful, and it's really unpredictable.
It's got a mind of its own.
Totally. And also, and this is more to do with a sun sign or fire sign. You can struggle with like impulsivity, which is a real problem of mine, like just being like, let's do it now, and executing things without thought, or speaking before you've thought things through. Like, I'm a very head to mouth person, as you'll know, because you pick me up on it all the time. But I'm a direct person, but I really do correlate that with being a fire sign. And, that means that sometimes things come out really messily and clumsily and not the way that they're supposed to. It's also
and that's
really
your passion as well. That's the fire, is the passionate.
It is, and you've got to understand the gifts and the what's the opposite?
Pro and the con.
The gifts and the poo.
Detritus.
Yeah, detritus is better.
The gifts and the poo.
The gifts and the poo.
You got to take the good with the bad, you know.
Gifts and the poo.
I'm glad I made you laugh, but you know, like fire signs will do things really quickly, you know, and they'll get shit done. But we also fuck things up a lot, you know. Don't always do things well, and also there is temper there. It's quite a bit of a temper there, often with fire. So I guess it teaches us balance of passion and patience. The end. No, I was trying to think about
There's sex magic as well.
Yeah, sex magic that comes with the passion.
I wrote down dancing for fire.
Yeah, I said movement.
Oh, did
yeah,
you?
because I think no, this is
that.
cool. Like, because I would say a movement is more of a thing that I've been embracing in the last year. You know, not even really that long. I love to dance so much. It just like it really takes me back to childhood joy of like feeling not insecure in my body, you know, just being really free. Why are you pointing at her?
Sorry, I just think when you said that, so we went to Zumba.
I started going
And we
to
were
Zumba
like two
clown
children just
It's
going,
so fun.
It is, yeah.
You know, and learning to like feel completely free in all of these limbs and the diversity of movement. And, you know, we get so stuck in one position behind a laptop for work and, you know, or even if you're not behind a laptop, repetitive movements. So, you know, I think the beauty of dance is it's just so freeing. It's so liberating. And especially if you've come through something traumatic that has made your world smaller, dancing is medicine, I think.
Yeah.
How do you guys connect with fire?
Mine is definitely through the sun. And the other day I did a post because the weather at the moment is gorgeous. So seeing the sun is like, and
Vitamin D.
Just, so good. It just lifts everything. And I will say, again, I have a few sun magic sort of poems or sayings that I will say to the sun. So I will always welcome it in and I will always say goodnight to it. So I feel like the sun is my fire. But then equally, saying that, whenever I light a candle, I feel that that's fire magic, ceremonial. Normally every single night in my house, I just go around and in my lounge area, just light thousands of candles, even if I'm just sitting
That's
there.
what I was thinking. I think my living room is like a shrine.
Yeah.
No, like there is so much naked flame everywhere. This is dangerous. This is not safe.
Fine. I'm like, this is a very unsafe house. But like, it's just like my lounge living area is covered in candles. And I now have millions of candle holders and I collect them all and I love them because it just feels... I'm a Leo moon.
Yeah, you've got a lot of fire.
And a Leo rising. Born performer, thank you. So I would say I'm a little bit of a fire starter as well. I think that's, but I would say if you were wanting to connect to the fire element and you're standing outside, you could just look up at the sun and just welcome it in because it kind of is the heart of the world.
How about you, Steph?
Oddly, I don't have much fire in my chart at all.
I think I bring enough fire for the both of us, to be honest.
You do. I might have one or two, but it's definitely not a significant thing for me. However, I am quite fascinated by fire.
Well, you're literally a candle maker.
Yeah, I'm a candle maker. Yeah, I absolutely adore candles and working with candles. And we did a candle scrying practice in the coven. Which was amazing. I could stare at a flame.
When was that?
Did we do?
At the retreat.
At the retreat. Yeah. Sorry. And that wasn't a candle. It was a big old bonfire.
No, we did candle scrying at the last retreat.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Now I'm thinking about scrying as in staring into the flame.
Oh, yes.
Yes. That's
Yes,
what I
ma'am.
was thinking of.
Yes.
So yeah, there's something I find just quite fascinating about fire. I feel quite drawn to it.
Maybe it balances out your sign because you don't have any fire in your chart.
I'm pretty sure I have like one or two signs, but again, most of my chart I think is water and air. But I adore working with candles. That's probably the majority of it. I do enjoy dancing as well. I think what you said about movement is just so important for us all to free our bodies and move trauma out of our bodies as well. So yeah.
Has there ever been a time when either of you have felt like you've had too much fire?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I was going to say, I was just thinking then when we were talking about it, I guess...
When I send my husband to hell.
I sent him to hell. No, I was just thinking, I guess if you have been in...
Sometimes I get the rage. I get the rage.
The rage.
Situations that are...
Certain lost opportunities.
No, not that, but certain, like... situations that I can't control, you know, that are, you know, whatever's happening is, you know, I want the justice of the situation. So I do see the rage, and sometimes those rageful thoughts will, I really have to like calm myself down because I will obsess over it. But yeah.
Because I was just thinking then about like rage release, you know, about, I think we did it on the cover, screaming into a pillow.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you're just
letting it out.
Or like rage rooms where you go and smash things up. I mean, I'm not really
Yes,
on board
please.
with that,
I would
but-
love
to do that.
room.
Let's smash a
I'm
telly.
surprised. When you said I'm not really drawn to doing it, I was like, I'm surprised. I thought you'd like a rage room.
I grew up in a household where a parent smashed things up.
Right.
So I feel like for me it takes me back to childhood and it's like really
it's more of
comfortable.
like a trauma.
Also, I am a hoarder. You know, I treat things with respect. Like I keep them forever. I have like 6 tea sets at home that I'm like, you're nicely in your bed and you're cozy.
Actually, I have your tea sets in my house.
No, I
because
know
you have
you
no
do.
room for them.
It's funny and it's sad. It's also really sad. Yeah, I don't like the idea of smashing things up. I'm just kind of
No,
like,
yeah, I
you
get what
know,
you mean when
they
you
all
put it
hold
like that.
beautiful meaning to me, which is literally the epitome of hoarding.
Yes.
Need some therapy.
But in answer to your question, yes. And I think it is that female rage that we all get from time to time and releasing it. And I think that's the element of fire, of just going for it.
But I've never really seen you ragey.
No,
You do it in private.
Very much do it.
You're a private rager.
I'm a bit of a private rager, but I have picked up a pillow before and gone and screamed into it.
What would make you that angry?
The ex,
Everything.
everything. What makes me really angry? You'd have to really hurt me for me to be really angry, or again, a real injustice.
Yeah, real injustice is a real problem for me.
Yeah.
Like that, like you were saying, becoming completely consumed obsessively with, you know, something just being wrong and unfair and not okay. Yeah, I mean, rage is a massive one for me. And I actually really dislike it about me. It's something that I am trying to like work through. But and it has got easier as I've got older. I don't know if you've noticed that in yourself, but like when you were kind of like in your early 20s, you would be able to kind of like, you wouldn't be able to control the rage, and it would just like kind of like you'd just be firing left, right, and centre. Or I certainly was, and now I can control it. But every now and then, the red mist creeps up, and it's almost like I have an outer body experience where I can see myself acting in this way that I do not like at all. You know, like if I've got a really
not out of control, but you're not in
taken
control of
over.
it. It's
yeah,
taken over you.
well, like in particular online, you know, like I've had some really cruel comments, like a really cruel personal attack recently on my personal profile, and I spent a week crying and having therapy. It's ridiculous well, it's not ridiculous, but it's like
hurtful.
It's a real shame that someone who I don't know had that power over me. But the anger and the injustice that I felt on the inside, I at that time did not feel like I could control it. But also I was going to say another really relatable thing would be burnout, which I think lots and lots of people experience with work these days. You know, we're just expected to do so much.
All
And
the time.
Not just in a work environment, but also in our personal lives. You're expected to go to the gym, look after your teeth, like be a good parent, like be a good student, keep growing and developing, grow your own vegetables, eat really well, you know, clean the house, like walk the dog, be a good partner, be a good friend, be a good child.
I'm going to bed.
Yeah. And it's just like the expectation is growing every year.
Yes.
You know, and we project shame onto people that don't stay up to the same level. That expectation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think burnout is a big one. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else.
Yeah.
Or I guess, you know, passion that gets out of control maybe as well. Lusting.
Yeah.
I'm a big luster. No, I'm not really. But
I can be like a bit of a luster.
Well, even like a kind of
role.
like, I would say, not even in a sex sense, but I can fall in love with people, even like platonically, or fall in love with practices, or fall in love with objects. That sounds weird. But, you know, like really easily.
Yeah. Because that's that
like
passionate, fiery,
Yeah, definitely.
excited, adrenaline-inducing.
Juicing. Anyway, that was fire. Drop.
My drop. Bravo.
Well, I guess we will move on to water then, which is
That sounded a bit like
sign.
air.
I love it. You're both
funny
on the
enough,
other.
I'm double water, sun and water moon. Cancer and Scorpio, although arguably some people would say Scorpio is on the fiery side of
Oh,
water.
yeah, you're definitely giving a little bit spicy in Scorpio.
Yeah, got a bit of
I love a
spice.
Scorpion woman.
I do too.
So yeah, water governs our emotions, it's healing, intuition. Obviously, it's very connected with the moon, funnily enough. And yeah, water is associated with the West, autumn, and our subconscious. I love water.
You're a water.
I love water too.
Water
Yeah.
baby. I think I've mentioned it 1,000 times. One of my absolute staples in my practice is ritual bathing.
Yeah.
So we won't talk too much more about that. but yeah, ritual baths are a huge one. Obviously connecting to the ocean, rivers, lakes.
You don't really go swimming in like leisure centres though, do you?
I used to when
you?
I had a membership to one.
Yeah, fair.
I used to go swimming a lot. And I actually mostly, like, my favourite is to go swimming in the Mediterranean Sea.
Yeah.
I absolutely love
Being
the
in that water.
feeling of being in that water is just unreal. I just can't wait to jump in
Get in
again
that
this year.
Have you ever done wild swimming? As in,
I have, but not in this country, in Australia.
I have a lot here.
have you? I'd love to do it.
Yeah.
And I swim in the sea here as well.
Do you?
Yeah.
Cool, blimey.
I live right next to it.
I know, but chilly.
She means cold.
It's not really chilly during the summer.
Funny
Yeah,
enough,
it's not really that
the
chilly
Australian
that often.
water is freezing.
Is it?
Yeah. I was so
Why?
shocked. I was like, this is really cold compared to the Mediterranean Sea, expecting it to be really warm, but it's actually really cold.
Well, it probably has to balance out how freaking hot it is.
Yeah. That was on the West Coast anyway. I don't know what the rest of Australia is like. But yeah, being in natural water like that is, yeah, absolutely beautiful.
I
It's
loved
just
seeing your
so
videos of like your
calming.
feet in the water. And
Water is just so calming to me. I love the sound of running water. That sends me into a meditative state. I really love to have a water feature in my garden. Just have the sound of water everywhere.
beautiful.
Actually, when we went to Glastonbury, we spent time at the Chalice Well, which is obviously
I want to go back.
me
We
too.
should do another trip.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
An embracing magic trip.
Yes, please. Let's get in the well.
I don't think you can get in the well, Lizzie.
Oh,
You mean the spring?
oh the spring.
Oh, the
sorry.
spring. Yeah,
Pardon
don't,
me.
don't get in the well.
I can't get in the well. Well,
You
I
may
can
not
try.
come out.
I may not get out.
But yeah, the chalice well is absolutely beautiful, and it runs all the way, the water runs all the way from the top of these beautiful gardens all the way to the bottom, and it's just a stream of water. And that water is iron infused water, isn't it?
Yeah, I drank some, didn't I? And then I got a really bad stomach.
Oh no.
It's really like it tastes like blood. Like
Whoa.
it's that iron rich.
And I
You're not supposed to have a huge gulp either, but Tony,
You had a big
decided
gulp.
to take
You had a
big
pint.
gulp.
I was like, heal me. And then I had such bad cramping in my stomach for like half an hour afterwards.
You really only need like a tiny drop, but you can take the water away from you. So we collected some to take away, and I've still got it actually. It's
Oh,
It's on my altar too.
But yeah, absolutely beautiful. And then obviously the White Spring, which completely blew me away. Beautiful. It's like you're going into a cave. It's like, it feels like you're going into a womb. It's like so you feel protected.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of people strip off their clothes and bathe in the waters, and Elizabeth actually did do this.
You got naked.
And I think it obviously, I mean, we didn't, because we didn't realise, I don't think, when we were there, but it's must be quite liberating.
Completely liberating.
To just,
I would have definitely done it.
It's amazing.
But I'm like
we didn't
really...
have a towel or anything though, we were unprepared.
We tried. We got in with our feet and stuff like that. But I'm so sensitive to temperature. Like she was just
bitter.
walking in no problem. And I was like, I feel like needles are in my skin. It's
bitter.
just like awful.
It's like
I think you guys were like dancing around to try and
we were, I mean, if you were a fly on the wall, it would have been fun. We were dancing around in it because
Were
it's
you?
bitterly cold. It's like painfully cold.
Did you go all the way under?
We were like almost baptizing ourselves. We were like,
because obviously there's the if you go into on the left side, there's a whole
Dunking.
dunking pool,
Submerging.
which is quite deep, I should imagine.
yeah, it looks terrifying.
And then there's like a circular pool in the centre, which you can sort of sit in.
yes, yeah.
So was that where you were dancing?
We were in the
circular
we
pool?
were in the circular centre, and it was so amazing because there was like an elderly couple in there already, just happily naked, sitting in it, another man and a woman, and the three of us were getting in like, but then afterwards, the feeling afterwards was
Of getting
just
out. Like the air's warm, isn't it, when you get out? Yeah.
You felt this sort of such a release and a liberation. It was beautiful.
I'd like to go in and sing, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because we heard some people
acoustics
singing in there, and it was just eerily beautiful. It's the only way that I can describe it. But yeah, there's obviously a lot of magical water sites in the UK, and wells as well, which we spoke about previously, are very connected to water. So yeah, lots to see. The other thing I was thinking of is activating water within your body, because obviously we're mostly made of water, and kind of tuning into that within our body. And I feel like sound is really good for that, because we did, during my course, we actually put water within one of the bowls, the sound bowls, and the way that the water moves with the sound is just amazing.
Oh, wow.
And it just made me think of, if it's doing that within the bowl, then it would be doing that within our bodies. The vibrations will be moving all of the water within our bodies. So yeah,
That's amazing.
activating water.
Activation.
And then water offerings, obviously, if you want to bring water to your altar, collecting water from wherever you go. I've brought water collections back from the sea in Malta, and shells are another good one to represent water on your altar.
Malta on the altar.
Malta on your altar.
I like it.
And see, I was thinking, obviously you said tea for earth, but I feel like that's also water as well.
Yeah, of course,
tea
yeah.
is a big one.
I think any kind of like infusion, really, tinctures and cold
Yeah, and
infusion.
oils as well, and sprays as well.
See, I see oil as fire, really.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I do. Yeah, but definitely anything where the majority of it is made up of water.
In this book, it's water.
Yeah, I guess it depends on where things fit for you.
Fit for
but
you,
for
yeah.
oil to me is like flammable.
Okay, interesting.
Whereas I kind of think of water as like extinguishing and cooling and calming.
Calming, yeah. Very peaceful.
Very peaceful.
Which is my nature. No, I'm joking.
You're just so peaceful, Steph.
Obviously, working with the moon is a huge one. Collecting water and charging it under the moon as well. Obviously, moon practice is a huge part of my practice, and we've brought that to the coven, and we do moon rituals for the full moon and the new moon. But obviously, there are millions of phases. No, not millions. 8 phases, I think, in total. But I tend to work with the full moon and the new moon. That's how I like to do it, because in modern practice, I feel like working with all of them would be quite difficult.
Do you know which phase you were born under?
I do not, actually. I do not.
you?
Maybe I do know that.
You do?
I was a waxing gibbous.
So was I.
Give over
Yeah, I
now.
was a waxing gibbous too.
It'd be funny if I was
gibbous.
a waxing gibbous as well. I think I have found this out before, but I've forgotten. I will find out.
Yeah, nice.
Simmer pots.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
definitely, yeah.
That's a good
Is
one.
what I was thinking
I've
of.
never done a simmer pot before.
I think I bought some herbs to do it, and then I didn't do it.
It feels very TikTok to me.
Yeah.
But I have like made elderberry syrup and got the same sort of enjoyment, because obviously that smell fills the house in a similar way. Or like making any kind of like tincture or whatever. I think boiling any kind of like herb or fruit feels like that.
No, I've never done a simmer.
I was thinking of anointing yourself with water as well.
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed that water blessing that we did.
And obviously we did water scrying as well. And dreams are actually really connected with the element of water,
Yeah.
which I love. A bit of dream magic and lucid dreaming.
Do you write your dreams down?
I try to remember to, but I actually, if they're an important dream, I will remember them. Like, I still can remember some really important ones that I've had quite vividly. And I think that's probably because of repeating them to all of you. I had this dream, and then it just gets stuck in your head, doesn't it? But I do really want to get into the habit of writing them down and actually observing the pattern of my dreams, and you know what different mood you're in and how that might affect your dreams and stuff like that.
Lizzie, you were in my dream last night.
Stop.
What were you
And
doing?
interestingly
Give
enough,
over now.
I was in a really big house fire in my dream last night.
Whoa.
But it was like,
Did I rescue you?
yes, you kind of were actually. You were in waders.
What?
And you were
Was I about this big?
you were in waders and like the waters next to the house, and you were trying to help find all of my altar pieces that had been sort of like swept away in this mass destruction.
Oh my god!
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
What was I doing?
I was trying to. You weren't in
there.
it. You weren't in it. Yeah.
Just not helping. Sorry, Tone.
But it was just quite unusual because it was like, it was just a very, I'm having
interesting.
really visceral dreams all the time at the moment. And I kind of have them in the early hours of the morning, and I will forget them. So I make myself write them down in my notes on my phone, and then I fall asleep and I forget about them. And when I got here, I started telling it to Stevie, and yeah, but you were in my dream.
Wow.
And you were helping try and find my granddad's ashes.
Wow. I will always help you.
Thank you.
Aw.
And I'll always
Even-
help you too.
Even
Apparently
in
I
my
won't.
dreams.
Apparently, I will not
Steph's
be
on the
there
side
helping
going,
you.
"You're doing well, girls."
Yeah.
Well done.
It's Aperol spritz in hand.
But yeah, going to a water sign in general, I suppose. Water signs can be quite emotional, very emotional people, very sensitive, intuitive, and
Very deep.
Wise.
Very deep, wise.
yeah. But with that, obviously, comes being a little bit over emotional and oversensitive, which I can definitely be.
But very empathic.
Yeah.
Very kind, very loving.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Calm.
Calm.
and I had
nurturing as well. Very nurturing.
Definitely had situations that I've been in where I've reacted really emotionally, like in the same way that you were saying, like you might get the anger and the rage. I would get really emotional and just cry, and it's uncontrollable. In some ways, even if something's upsetting me and I'm getting angry about it, I will cry.
You'll cry.
It will come out as an emotional reaction rather than just being angry.
And if you see other people cry, your empathy can bring up tears as well.
Yeah, if other people are crying, I will also be crying.
Same.
It doesn't take a lot. Like even watching movies and stuff, I'll be crying. Sometimes Steve will look over me and be like, "You're crying."
You're crying.
Yeah. Is this sad? Yes, it's sad.
You're crying.
I was just thinking then as like an earth sign, I think a lot, I don't know, but I was thinking we sort of go to ground, as in like, I suppose it's that depressive element.
So you kind of retreat
and go to ground, almost cocoon in.
There's, I mean, as a Cancerian, there's a little bit of retreating into the shell, into the crab shell, and just hiding. I feel like a water sign is a little bit more of, we don't really like to be seen and heard.
Bit introverted.
Introverted, yeah. I mean, that might not be the case for all water signs, but
I think it depends what your other signs are as well.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, and also water is I can't even speak. Water is associated also with like psychic abilities and intuition. Obviously, we've got a very intuitive water sign, old Leonie. Hugely connected.
Massively connected.
So yeah, water.
Lovely.
What is your experience of water?
I was just thinking then, actually, I quite love...
My tummy's making wild sounds. I'm really sorry.
Mine is as well.
I think it's responding to this great conversation.
I was going to say...
It's all the water moving.
Water. Mine's going...
Yeah, same.
But I was just thinking... I really like water, but I really like being at the ocean when it's like really choppy and wild and jaggedy and cross. And I was just thinking one of my favourite things to do is to go to Lyme Regis and stand on the cob. It's called the cob, which is this kind of wave breaker.
Yeah.
And it juts right out. And I love standing on the edge of it and feeling
Are they also
like...
called groins?
Oh, groins as well, yeah. In Lyme Regis, they're like, right on the cob. So you all walk along the cob. And it's all crooked and they always say, like, walk at your peril almost, because it's like, whoa. Yeah. But there's something about being with water when it's wild as well. I just love it. That wild, like the sort of seas hitting your face and it breaking on the cob itself. That's sort of, again, I guess the wild woman element of like connecting to water, but in this kind of very visceral way. I absolutely love it. I love it when it's choppy.
I love a ferocious sea as well.
Yeah. And I guess stormy, being with the stormy element of water.
Stormy is actually air.
It's air, isn't it? Yeah.
Standing on a cliff of...
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, Heathcliff.
But I love the water when it's choppy.
Yeah.
When it's
like moving something.
Yeah, it's moving something.
Yeah.
I love that element.
Yeah, I like it.
And so when I used to be on tour around the southwest, I used to love going to Lyme Regis, and I'd be completely on my own, stand right out, feel like it's only me out at sea. I loved that. Love that wild element.
I absolutely adore water. I mean, I would be in water every day if I could. Like you, big ritual bath person. I associate baths with sort of managing pain a lot as well. It's one of the easiest ways that I find to meditate is being submerged in water. But also, I love to swim. So, I go down to my local leisure centre, get £2 swim.
Right.
It's like I said, it's a bit of a janky pool, but
janky pool.
It is. It's like council run, and it's literally like a couple of quid to go. And and I love doing that, but also, you know, very drawn to being near any kind of natural water. I have to live by the sea. I feel like I can breathe every time I walk up on that West Hill and I can see that sea.
I feel like that it's actually what was missing for me.
I think
not
it
being
is,
by
yeah.
the sea.
Not being
Yeah.
by the sea.
But also any kind of like body of water, like springs, wells, ponds, streams. You know, we've got a friend who's got a little stream at the end of their garden, that sound of rushing water. I absolutely adore water, and I would be in it every day if I could.
Yeah.
Me too.
I just think it also, in terms of having inflammation in your body, having that feeling of being held by something that's cooling and releasing in a really gentle, nurturing way. Yeah, I just think it's beautiful.
I think when I was in Malta last year and starting the day every single day with a swim,
Lovely.
just
It's
best way
like
to
cold water
start.
therapy, isn't it? Like Wim Hof, you know,
yeah,
technique.
yeah.
It's like it's like just starting the day right, isn't it? It's just like I was saying, like walking up on the hill and seeing that sea. I just immediately know that it's going to be a good day. And I'd
Yeah.
imagine it's the same with starting with a swim in the sea.
in the Mediterranean Sea in particular.
When you
All
said
right,
that, when you said that, like I had this beautiful memory of being in New Zealand in Paikokoriki, which is where my family are from. Good name, I love that name. And it's opposite an island called Kapiti Island. And there was something about swimming in that particular sea.
I feel that way about Greece, actually. Yeah.
Bella.
We probably should move on to air.
What did you say?
I said Bella.
Bella. I thought you said Mella, which is a Maltese word.
What does it mean?
Mella. It's like, it's hard to describe. It's sort of like it's just something that they say.
I was channeled then. I actually said Bella.
I can't really describe it actually. Someone was describing it the other day, like a Maltese guy. They're sort of just going, yeah, Mella.
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 But yeah, we should do air.
Air.
But that was lovely. Beautiful water.
Yeah.
So we're all going to do air, aren't we?
all
'Cause
gonna
we've run out of signs. We've run out of people for signs.
Funny enough, Stevie's there.
Come over and talk about air.
By the way, we keep mentioning Stevie. Stevie is the man behind the cameras and the editing.
Yeah.
And also your fiance.
And also my fiance.
Yeah, secondary to that, he's her fiance.
He's my fiance.
Amazing.
And actually, he proposed to me in Malta, standing off of on the cliffs with the view of the ocean.
You're banned from saying Malta now. From
Malta. Okay, anyway,
that's your quotation for this.
Mella.
symbolises intellect, communication, represents the east and spring. I actually love a bit of air.
I love a bit of
I
air.
love a bit of air. That feeling of the wind going
Yes.
through your hair and feeling it on your face.
Totally.
I actually really adore a windy walk.
too.
And it feels like, again, like similar to the waves, like moving, it feels like things are shifting and, you know, moving energy out and welcoming new, which I guess is why it represents spring, because it's like a renewal type thing.
Yeah.
I like seeing the trees like sway and the wind
Hearing the
and
leaves
rustling.
and yeah, I do.
I think as well, like
Wind.
they have like, you know, wind magic, don't they? They talk about wind magic and almost releasing a spell to the wind, so, or an intention, and letting your
breath magic.
magic. Letting the breath carry on the wind and taking that off, sort of like on an astral plane journey, like off it goes.
Blowing a hoolie.
Blowing a hoolie, but using the wind to release or share an intentional thought that you really want to.
Yeah.
I think of smoke cleansing when I think about air.
Yeah.
And scent.
Totally.
I mean, I'm an absolute smoke cleanse freak, but that's what I think about, the way the smoke kind of like moves in the air. Or, you know, like when you're blowing on a cold window pane and you get that kind of fog, you know. I think divination practice in general is giving air.
Yeah, pendulum work is considered a very air-based divination. Also using your breath in, like we do that a lot, breathing
work,
into like a spell
The
jar
cleanse,
or,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Good old air.
Yeah.
Storms, as we said. Also, birds are
Well, feathers,
connected.
yeah.
Feathers,
very
yeah.
connected to air. Like whenever I find feathers on the ground, I think of them as being like air spirits, like a gift from the element.
Yeah.
There's also so I'm looking at my notes. Also a divination called ornithomancy, which is interpreting the movement of birds, which is
really?
associated with air.
Oh, I like that.
So if you also, I'm not sure if I think we might have mentioned it before, but the magpie rhyme. What is it? One for sorrow,
Oh,
two for
two for
joy,
joy,
three for a girl, four for a boy, five for silver,
silver,
six for gold, one for a second. What was it? Five for silver, six for gold, seven for a secret never to be told.
Hey.
I don't know any more than that. It goes on and on and on and on. Someone made like a parody one on Instagram, and it gets darker and darker and darker, and it's really funny.
I thought we were talking about, hello, Mr. Magpie, how's your wife and children?
No, you're in a different era right now.
But someone was also saying about it being, and they're using the same. It might have been in this book, using it with crows as well. The same, a similar.
You're
sort of
obsessed with
rhyme.
crows, mate, today.
Like in a crow.
A leather crow.
Love me a crow.
Anyway, you carry on talking about.
Well,
it.
I
I'm
was
gonna find this rhyme.
I think of travel as well as being sort of air, traveling on adventures and going abroad. You're literally a lot of the time on a boat or on an airplane, which feels like it's traveling through
traveling
air.
through the air.
You get the ferocious waves
Yes.
when you're on a boat, don't you?
Yeah. I was thinking of you just then, because I was thinking of...
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I was thinking of like singing and chanting
Yeah.
as air, because
Because of
you're...
the breath work,
The breath work. I was just thinking of you on your beautiful mermaid rock with your drum, but you're singing to the air, aren't you? You're chanting and singing to the air, and that's a beautiful
I think
element
even
of it.
breath work in the traditional sense, the kind of like
Yeah.
the
meditative breathworky.
pranayama.
Yes, yeah, totally.
Like we did lion's breath the other day, but like fire breath and stuff like that. Really powerful tool for release as well.
Communication and using your voice in general is a very,
It's very
Air.
based.
They say Reiki is air-based as well.
Interesting.
Which I think is really interesting, because it's almost like, it's that almost like journeying, freedom, releasing of energy. So they sort of say that's connected to the air, which I think is
Yeah.
really interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
This is the rest of the rhyme.
Oh, here we go.
5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret never to be told, 8 for a wish, 9 for a kiss, 10 for a bird you must not miss, 11 is worse, 12 for a dastardly curse.
Way.
Oh, like that last one.
Dastardly curse.
Spooky. What do you think the challenges of air are?
Communicating badly, maybe?
Oh, I think like anxiety.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe being like elusive. So that is communicating badly. Because it's like being flighty or airy-fairy, isn't it? Not really being direct or
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Being
like being
too-
abstract.
In your... I was going to say two in your head. I don't know if that's right. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Too flitty, too flighty.
Or, not being very grounded.
Grounded, yeah.
In your thoughts and feelings. Or maybe being kind of fickle, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe being fight or flight.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Flight.
Not being able to pin someone down.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
being reliable.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. I haven't really spent a lot of time thinking about air before.
No.
Because it's not in my chart and I don't really know very many airy people.
No, same.
Is air Libra as well? Is Libra an air sign?
Yeah, what are
And
these?
I think Gemini is an air sign as well.
So
Yeah,
Libra,
I see
Gemini,
Gemini.
and...
I can't remember.
Hang on, what's water? Cancer.
Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces.
Aquarius.
Aquarius is there. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. That's the confusing one. 'cause
Yes.
it's the water bearer.
The water bearer.
And it always confuses me.
Ditto. Yeah. So that's Aquarius, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think not being grounded
Yeah.
is a big one. But again, like you, I don't know many air-based I don't know many air people. I'm normally surrounded by fire or water.
I always think wind is giving kind of like Colours of the Wind from Pocahontas.
Yeah.
I imagine her hair like blowing in the wind, you know.
Yeah.
I actually also, there's also listening to the wind, and sometimes like hearing voices carry. Like I often hear voices. That sounded really weird. Like I hear voices. So, like a whispering of like messages.
Yeah.
Usually when I'm in like a theta kind of state.
Or cloud busting as well.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, cloud busting.
Reading clouds.
Yeah, there's actually quite a lot of divination-based air practices, isn't there?
I'd imagine even like rune and tarot is seen as like an air practice.
So I would have thought rune was more earth.
Yeah, I would have thought rune was earth.
I think it's divination that's
Just in
that's
general.
air, yeah.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Should we talk about the best one?
Spirit.
Okay. Crazy.
Sorry, excuse my stomach.
Probably the best one. Connecting with the unseen, liminal spaces, dream work, divination again, deep meditation.
Trance.
Yeah. I just took me to like a ravey place, like Lizzie like raving in her like multicoloured leggings.
Multicoloured hair.
Altered states of consciousness.
Yeah.
Definitely lucid dreaming, I would say. I think it's referred to as ether a lot of the time as well.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the unifying force of connecting all of the elements.
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
definitely.
Bringing it all together.
For sure.
Faux show.
Faux show.
You can tell we're coming close to the end of the episode.
Ancestral work, I would say, is a spirit.
Oh,
yeah.
Spirit communication
Any
in general.
spirit, yeah. Which obviously many ways to do that. Again, that's kind of you'll be using divination,
Yeah.
really, to connect with the spirits.
Yeah.
But yeah, any more?
And I think it's about, again, like we're saying, it's bringing it all together, but it's connecting with each element to the different spirit elements. So that might be the fae with earth, the water spirits. It is bringing it all together to the
Mythical creatures.
mythical creatures, exactly. Whatever.
Working with deities
Yeah,
and
yeah,
spirit
yeah.
guides,
Spirit
and even
guides.
saints, if that's part of your practice.
Exactly.
spirit
Goddesses,
animals and-
dragons. But
She loves a dragon.
I love a dragon. I won't be able to say dragon soon. Stop saying dragon.
Well, I've already been
chastised.
yeah.
What about like sacred symbols and like geometry, like sacred geometry and stuff like that?
Yes.
You know, anything that holds kind of like significant ancient meaning. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think that's very much so.
Because it feels like those symbols like transcend time.
In what ways do you work with spirit?
I talk to the dead. Ancestral.
You said that. Smile as well.
talk to
I talk to the dead.
I think spirit practice, yeah. I think communicating with ancestors and spirit guides, asking for signs, asking for messages. I've got really into my tarot recently. I've taken my tarot reading down more of an ancestral route, shadow work route. And I really feel like I'm finding my feet with that in terms of my offering and what I'm sharing. So I definitely think tarot is a big one. I think also, again, with the sound, being able to completely come out of that insecure conscious state and being able to fall into a flow with something that feels ancient and unseen as well. I think that's probably a big part of it as well. But I think also ceremony work, like leading group ceremonies and being able to come into that, you know, out of a place of ego and come into the place of holding the space and just being a conduit, I guess, for shared information. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Making
totally.
sense?
Yeah.
Totally.
Totally, I get it. No, I'm following.
Well, like you're not there for yourself. You're kind of there for the majority, and you're allowing your You're
kind of channeling.
being a vessel, I guess, for other people's practice. How about you two? How do you work with spirit?
I really feel with spirit that it's in deep meditation for me. It is almost going into a trance. And I meditate every day for at least half an hour if I can, just because I feel the longer I can and the deeper I can drop in, I feel like I am really having a spiritual deep connection. And I do it in silence. I find silence for me actually has a profound effect on me. Just meditating in absolute silence has a real, because it's almost like I can really listen. I can really feel messages coming through or things that need to be said to me. So I find that fascinating because my life is so kind of loud and I am loud.
Well, you did that Vipassana?
Yeah, I did Vipassana for 10 days.
What is Vipassana?
I like Vipassana. That's the other name for it.
Vipassana?
Vipassana.
Oh.
Yeah, or Vipassana, which is silent meditation. It was 10 days of silent meditation. And actually for me...
That is mad.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I think I would find that really difficult.
Really hard. A lot of people, obviously... So
we were like, oh, how long do you reckon she's going to last?
Liz is going to come home in a minute. But I actually realised I need like real silence.
You do retreat though. When
Yeah,
you need
you
space,
do.
you really take. You're like, I'm taking myself away.
I've got to go away now.
Down.
Yeah, I just go to ground. I just go.
Is that a fairly new thing for you that you've realised that you have to do to kind of not burn out, basically?
Completely.
Yeah.
So being the like people pleasy, we've got to be on show all the time.
Yeah.
Got to be on. And then exactly as you say, I've realised that I need to completely retreat and then I go to silence basically.
And go into your connection with spirit.
With spirit basically. And then I can come back.
Yeah.
Who would have thought 10 days with old Dive being all quiet?
I honestly, I'm surprised. I don't think I could do it. How do you work with spirit?
What do you do?
I suppose more of an ancestral connection now. Like I've connected quite deeply with some of my ancestors. Probably mostly dream, like connecting with them in my dreams. I find a lot of dead people come to me in my dreams. But I think that's because I set a boundary of if you want to communicate with me.
Because you're scared.
Well, yeah, I just prefer you to just not disrupt me in my everyday life and just come to me in my dreams.
Yeah.
That's good communication, I think. Good boundary setting.
That most of the time I will get messages that way.
When I go to the toilet in the middle of the night, I'm like, not now, you'll scare me.
You'll scare me.
Yeah. I'm like, not at 4 a.m.
Please.
I will be afraid. I'm not listening right now.
I think I actually did say something like that out loud when I was on my own the other day. I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this right now. Please go away. You're scaring me. But yeah, mostly ancestors. I mean, I have also been exploring folk Catholicism a little bit, and kind of Mother Mary, interestingly. So yeah, which is really interesting. I'm sorry, I have to mention Malta again, but you know how Hecate is obviously the keeper of the crossroads. All of the crossroads in Malta have Mother Mary guarding the crossroads. I just find that really interesting.
Did you read that book
connection.
that I told you about?
The Rosary book.
Yeah.
Yes, I read half of it.
Oh wow, well done.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, well done.
Oh, you didn't
really
put it down and go, nah.
Yeah, so I found that really interesting as well. I think for me, it's important to explore that side of things and that connection with the saints. And saint-wise, for some reason, I feel drawn to Mary. But so yeah, that's how I connect with spirit.
What do you think the challenges of spirit are? I think disassociation.
Totally.
Or being too
intangible.
Yeah, like way up there with the spirit. Yeah.
And does that link into like spiritual ego and not being on this
Plain.
Not being able to be present. Yeah.
Not being able to be present, yeah. I think you can get too lost up there and not grounded. You have to be... That's why they talk about, I guess, the full elements being united. You need it all.
Or maybe spiritual doubt as well.
Spiritual doubt, yeah. And Dark Night of the Soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dark Night of the Soul.
I'm reading a lot about that lately.
Ah, well, there you go. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. That's been a fun challenge.
That's a fun one. But yeah, that maybe that disconnection.
I don't think we also didn't talk about the corresponding crystals for spirit either.
Oh, would that be selenite?
Definitely quartz, definitely selenite. Apotholite, my favourite.
Yes.
Aura quartz, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Celestite.
Oh,
celestite.
Yeah.
Did I say that wrong? Celestite.
You just said it.
Celestite.
Celestite.
How do you pronounce it?
Celestite, I think.
Oh, okay. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Oh, I love spirit.
Yeah.
My favourite, I think.
But if you want to dive more deeply into elemental witchcraft, this book is like a elemental witchcraft Bible.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
It is called The Path of Elemental Witchcraft, a Word Woman's Book of Shadows by Salacro. Is that correct? Salacro, yeah. So there we go.
Amazing.
And I think we have come to the end of our episode.
The
I say that every time. But yeah, I really enjoyed diving into the elements. I mean, we're doing a lot of elemental work in the Coven at the moment, so it's nice to kind of talk more about it with you, girl.
And I guess see how you guys are using it in your practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode all about elemental magic. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please do let us know in the comments how you work with the elements, which one is your favourite to work with. We'd love to hear from you, and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Embracing Magic.
Embracing Magic.